Kia ora, and welcome to Oho'ake Books. My name is Wharaus Lysander. Stillness. Stillness is receptivity, in my perception. I had a weekend last weekend where I actually had that experience, where I was dropping into a place where I felt deeply receptive and very still in my presence. I was supposed to go away last weekend to a ritual, a place called Lake Rotoponamu, which is in the central plateau of the North Island of Aotearoa, New Zealand, which is a volcanic plateau where there's 3 volcanoes, and to the left of to the east of the volcanoes, there's a small lake called Lake Rotoponamu. And it's a very powerful vortex site in an earth chakra, a minor earth chakra. Very powerful place. But I had an urge to not go, but to actually stay home and to be still for 4 days. To be still, to be present, and to be receptive. Allow energy, situations, circumstances to simply unfold in my life, and to let them come into my space, and then of course deal with them in every way I possibly could that I needed to in order to function at my highest nature. So I did that for 4 days, and it was incredible how much this sense of stillness brought to me an energy of equilibrium, an energy of peace, and an energy of deep openness. I think it's really important for us in this day and age where we're so distracted by technology, by social events, by work. You could go on and on and on in regards to the list of things we're distracted by, to actually find time to actually to be still. And it doesn't have to mean that you go to nature, which is definitely a place to do that. Nature is the perfect place to have that ability to drop into an environment, a living organism. Everything around us is alive, but a truly living organism, and feel the energy of nature, and feel the heartbeat of the earth. Tune into that resonance and feel it move through you and become a part of it. Now, I've made videos in the past about my feeling about how I go to nature and how I drop in and feel inspired to be able to create when I'm in nature. But for me, stillness is also a big part of my life, even when I'm living in my apartment here in Wellington. Now, in 2017, I was dating, I just broke up with a girl I've been dating for about almost a year, who lived in Nelson, which is about 40 kilometres east of actually almost northeast of where I live, but on another island, on the South Island, in Nelson, which is the top of the South Island of New Zealand. And when we broke up, I had this urge that came over me to stop being distracted. So every night after work, I'd come home, I'd eat, make some food, eat, turn the computer off, turn my phone off, no distractions. I'd pull my curtain in front of my French doors. I would sit on my couch behind me. I'd look at the curtain and just look at the curtain and have my mind completely blank and just sit there. And what would happen to me in that stillness was that I would have this slow, effervescent, like a bubbles rising up, of thoughts and patterns and limitations and circumstances and experiences in my life that had kept me from being my most integral, vulnerable, and true self. I began to realize that all these experiences I had, as they came up over the next almost 9 months of me doing this, 7 months. No, it was 9 months, almost 9 months of sitting there in front of my curtains, not every night, but at least twice a week, often 4 times a week. The stillness would bring up all this trauma, all this experience, all these patterns, all these thoughts, led me to a place where I could feel into those experiences and heal them and recognize my shortcomings in circumstances and situations and experiences, recognize those patterns that had created those circumstances and those shortcomings in my life, recognize that even though I was responsible for everything that I have been throughout my entire life, I created all of this. I was able to forgive myself, to realize that these programs and these patterns and these beliefs were all not mine, but they were put into me. And I was conditioned to act these ways because of the patterns and the programs and the thought patterns and the beliefs that I'd had throughout my entire life, what I'd learnt, what I'd assimilated, what I'd integrated into my being. And I began to realize there and then that a lot of that, what I had taken on in regards to my childhood experiences and been conditioned with, no longer served me. It had nothing to do with me. It wasn't my shit. It was someone else's shit. I'd taken it on because I was an empath. I was far too empathic. Because my childhood, as you may know by watching some of my videos, was very traumatic. I was physically and verbally abused by my father. I was sexually abused by my neighbour until I was about 9 years old. And after that, my first 3 years after my parents' divorce, between 9 and 13, 4 years, I was taunted and teased endlessly by people I considered to be friends at the time and people at school and wherever I went to, because I had, in my being, portrayed and projected out into the world that I was a victim. It was my fault that everything had happened to me. I was responsible for everything that happened to me. Has some truth to an extent, but as a child, what you experience, what I experienced anyway, wasn't my shit. It was someone else's shit, my father's. I forgive him for what he did to me. And my neighbour too, I forgive him as well. I didn't realise at the time, but I was experiencing what I was experiencing because I was projecting out into the world what I had taken in. And I felt helpless. I felt like I was a victim. In that victimhood, I moved into my higher chakras. My lower chakras, my base chakra, my sacral chakra, my solar plexus chakra were completely vacant. I wasn't in my body, embodied at all. I moved into the higher centers where I felt safe. I was able to gauge the situation, look around a room, feel into people's feelings, know what they're thinking and feeling. So I was safe by doing that, feeling into a space. But by also doing this, I really lacked the embodiment to realize that what I was doing often in regards to putting out my own projections out into the world, I was hurting other people through my words, through my deeds. I was basically following in the footsteps of my father before me. It took me till I was about 21, 22 before I really got the gist of that and stopped it and began my healing process proper from those experiences. But that's how I felt at the time. When I sat in front of the curtains and looked at them and was still and dropped in, I had this experience of realizing that these interactions, these experiences, these programs were not conducive to me being the person that I wanted to be. I wasn't being my authentic self. I needed to embody in my entire body, into my entire chakra system. I needed to embody myself in my body and realize that the person that I wanted to be was only a matter of a choice. And my choice was to be that person. So I began to take the steps towards being the most authentic person I possibly could be, the person that I wanted to be. And funnily enough, all these people, men and women, male and female, masculine and feminine, are all in my books. They're all in my books, especially the novels. And these characters embodied the man that I was to become and I am today. Stillness. It's very important, I feel, if you are consciously awakening or moving to a conscious awakening path, that we have that ability to drop in and be still, and be still, and feel into whatever comes up. Feel it to heal it. Thanks for watching, I truly appreciate it. Mā te wā. I'll see you again soon.